Wealth, fame, power. Gold Roger, the king of the pirates, attained this and everything else the world had to offer, and his dying words drove countless souls to the seas.
You want my treasure? You can have it. I left everything I gathered together in one place. Now you just have to find it.
These words lured men to the Grand Line in pursuit of dreams greater than they'd ever dared to imagine. This is the time known as the Great Pirate Era.
Come aboard and bring along all your hopes and dreams. Together we will find everything that we're looking for. One Piece.
Fame, power, wealth, beyond your wildest dreams. This is a Boy in a Barrel podcast. Before I'm hung from the gallows, I am your host, Pirate King Nato, and with me is my co-host and future Pirate King himself, Dane Pevy. How are you doing?
Ahoy, hoy. I'm doing well, mate. I'm doing well. I don't know about the Pirate King, but certainly the chore boy at the moment. Guided by yourself through the vast waters.
That's what I said. Future, I'm currently Goldie Roger, and you are just a boy in a barrel about to pop your way out and proclaim yourself as the future Pirate King.
Yes, either that or I'm Koby and I'm just shit scared and I'm trying to work out what I'm doing in my life. What's going on?
That's actually a good analogy too, because Koby, like, as we have mentioned a few times, like off podcasts, he's got some things come along down the line.
He certainly does.
But we don't want to get too far into that. This is episode 2, technically episode 1 in a sense, because the other one was episode 0 in a D&D sense.
I love it. Yeah,
that's where you do all your team building and character construction and stuff like that. But this is it. We're into the episodes. We're talking about. Oh, actually, for anyone, if this is your first episode, for some reason you skipped to episode 2. This is a watch along One Piece podcast where I, super fan of One Piece, and my good friend Dane here, who is very new,
extremely
to
new,
the IP of One Piece. We're going to go through, discuss about Monkey D. Luffy and the Straw Hat Pirate crew and their adventures to hopefully make Luffy become the new Pirate King and everyone else on his crew fulfill their hopes and dreams and all that. In this episode, we're going to be talking about the episode 1 to 8, which covers the 2 first arcs, which is the Romance Dawn arc and the Orange Town arc. Because
Awesome.
at the moment, arcs are very, very short. Romance Dawn is like 1
to 3,
3 or 4, depending what you want to kind of categorize. While I think you're about to get to an arc later that's about 30 episodes long.
Yep,
where
exactly.
you were currently on, but we go. That's too far in the future. We're talking about just these ones now. So we talked about how our entry into this IP was last episode. So if you, as I said, for some reason started on episode 2 of this podcast, go back, listen to how we got into this. So now you're into it, Dane.
Now I'm actually starting.
What before we actually talk about the episodes itself, what is your what was your feels going into these first episodes? Where was your mindset?
Yeah, full disclosure, I have this is my second run of these 2 arcs, right? So I've been here before. I didn't get too far beyond these 2. So I'd seen it all before. So this was a second run for me. And I knew it was building up. You're building characters. You're building these iconic storytelling scenes. And I think that's what I walked away from it. Now, currently, I'm thinking about 75 episodes in. So now I'm sort of seeing some reflection here on these foundation, I guess, scenes and storytelling. So, again, you're introduced to Monkey D. Luffy popping out of his barrel. And immediately, I'm getting the Goku vibes. He's this happy-go-lucky.
I think that's what they were going for with the anime. Because that's what I said to you. This is not where the manga starts. This is a good bit into it where the manga starts, where, it's a double-edged sword, the anime, where, you get all that feels of Dragon Ball Z and stuff like that, but it doesn't hook you because it feels very shallow this first couple of episodes.
Yeah, it does.
Where the manga isn't, because you get a lot of people's backgrounds straight up.
and I feel like you do. So you get introduced to Monkey D. Luffy, you get introduced to Nami. I'm pretty sure, very, very briefly, Nami.
Yeah, you see it.
You just we'll
go through. Yeah, we'll go through that in a sec. But yeah.
So and also the other main character that you get introduced is to Koby, and obviously it's more about Koby's sort of story there and the introduction between the relationship of Monkey D. Luffy and Koby. And Koby's this young boy who basically gets kidnapped by a bunch of pirates, which is your first introduction to pirates outside of, Monkey D. Luffy. And you almost feel that there's going to be this long-term relationship between these two. And you don't know, because it's literally this very short-term, very short episode.
He was really set up as like this, like the supporting character, the goofy, the Millhouse.
But it's there that sort of both of them sort of very different personalities. Obviously, you got Monkey D. Luffy, a larger-than-life, happy-go-lucky person who wants to be the king of all pirates. And you have then opening up Koby, basically on this pirate ship who's been kidnapped, saying that, well, his ambition is to join the Marines. But again, he's very scared and he's, obviously kidnapped by the pirates, so he doesn't really think that's
very Millhouse.
Yeah, and it's the fact that he's met someone that is completely polar opposite to him, and it's basically as a Marine, it sort of stands against everything that he believes in. But I think in the first episode, or at least in this arc, you get this storytelling as to the Monkey D. Luffy side of him rubbing off on poor old Koby, and Koby then developing into somewhat of a trying to work out what he wants in life. And also what he's going to have to do to get there as well.
All right, cool. That's your little feel. We'll get into a bit of a summary just for the audience itself. So we start with Monkey D. Luffy, as we said, bursts his way out of a barrel. We get to meet Koby, as you said, wants to become a Marine. They eventually, what's her name? They fight.
What's her name? Is the pirate?
Elvidia?
With the big mallet. Or the big club.
Elvidia, yes, yeah. Elvidia. So that's just like a quick, fun, goofy fight and all that gets out of the way, but it kind of develops those two characters.
Yep.
They make their way to Shelltown. Mm-hmm. They hear about this pirate hunter called Zoro.
Yep.
Then you learn more about the Marines, the kind of like polar opposite to the pirates that you kind of learn about in the first episode, because the first episode really sets up their like, pirates are the bad guys. Oh, we got the good and bad. And then you get to the second episode and then you're all of a sudden like, oh, these are the cops and they're also bad.
Yeah, a bit corrupt,
well. Yeah, it's like ACAB before ACAB was kind of a thing. And then like really start setting up, they're like, this is, if you really look at it, this is very shades of grey, this whole anime. No, it's not like, oh, these are going to be the good guys, these are the bad guys, because even then, once the kind of evil element of the Marines is out, the other Marines left over start to show good signs of like, being, a stereotypical image of what a Marine should be of like, all right, actually, we're good, thanks for helping us, but also you're a pirate, so get out of town. You meet Axe-Hand Morgan, who kind of comes back into the story a little bit later. That's a dumb. I don't even know if is that canon or if it was filler, but we'll get to that when he shows back up again. You do meet Helmeppo.
Yep.
Which is the son of Morgan. He definitely does show up in the future. We will talk about that hopefully down the line. And that's all in Romance Dawn.
Yeah.
It was just a good setup. I don't think it's good. Even as like the super freak One Piece fan, I don't feel Romance Dawn is good unless you know what happens with the rest of One Piece. It's not good for the fresh-eyed person.
Yeah.
Because I'll go through a bit later with key points of this first arc, and there's a million things, but you don't know that you're supposed to know anything about Koby for the future, and you don't know about Helmeppo, because Koby's there and then he's gone in 3 episodes.
Yeah. And so, again, like watching this for the second time round, that you get some new appreciation as to, oh, okay, these actual characters do hang around. And there is a good reason why you should start to pay attention to how they are now, because they do evolve. And they start showing their signs of, like, what are their ambitions and where they are now, which, again, adds on to their story later on sort of thing. But I guess we'll talk about this as well. I do agree, like, when you're watching this for the first time, it's slow. It's introducing of characters where you don't know if they're going to be hanging around, so you're sort of just taking it as it sort of comes. But I do, when on reflection on this back, it does introduce some really key characters that do come back. Yep. But it also starts, again, mentioning those iconic scenes where you start introducing Shanks. And Shanks becomes a big part of the story. Yes. And even though I'm about 75 episodes in, outside of really of these first areas, these arcs, you don't hear about him again, from my perspective. But he plays a massive role. And I think it's episode, I don't know how much.
Because he's the mentor role. And
that's it.
He is the key mentor role. Like, not to spoil anything, but Luffy's dad ain't a big role model. His grandparents maybe are.
I don't know anything about Monkey D. Luffy's
and you won't.
Family. Yeah.
But Shanks is the setup reason of why Luffy is the way he is. He's the reason Luffy wants to be a pirate.
Yep.
That he wants to not only be a pirate, but like achieve the top level of being a pirate to like not impress, but like make his mentor proud of like, not only will I want to be like you, but I will, he does it in a child spiteful way of like, I'm going to be better than you. But deep down, I reckon it comes from a place of like, I want to be the best. I want to be better than you because I want to make you proud.
Yeah.
And be this top thing, because getting into a little bit of the key points, like there are two big things that set up Luffy doing things in the future, and it's the bar scene where those mountain bandits come in and like wreck the bar. Shanks does nothing because it sets up that like violence doesn't always solve everything, because if they start a fight in that bar, like the bar's going to get wrecked and all these kind of things happen, and they might beat these bandits, but then somebody else might get angry and come in and want revenge and all that. So, and like Shanks shows Luffy, he doesn't understand it as a kid at that time, but he shows them like, don't ever punch down in your life. Don't ever punch down. Like if people are lower than you, it doesn't matter what they're doing to you, because you're bigger and stronger than them. So if you do anything to them, like you are lowering yourself, because like you find out later, like Shanks is an emperor of the sea and like $1 billion bounty and all those kind of things, while those guys are like, we've got an $8 million bounty.
Yeah. And like touching on the Shanks, but I think the Shanks is important because it sets it up, but also like, and depending on if you want to jump into the Shanks scenario, because there's like heaps of key parts there, but I also feel like they introduced the whole Koby side of things with almost like Monkey D. Luffy being that mentor to him to know, mate, stand up, strive, you got to be this, you got to show
not
strength.
Even mentor, because like it is a different relationship. It's more like it shows Luffy as in like, if he sees you as a friend, he's going to help you achieve your dreams. And that is Luffy from start to finish, even where I'm up to. Like, soon as you are Luffy's friend, you could be a dog. We'll talk about that in the next part of thing. Yep. Like, that's your dream? Cool. I'm going to do everything in my power to help you achieve that dream. Because technically helping Koby achieve his dream is in a negative sense to think, because the Navy want to arrest you and will, they're the bad guys in, Luffy think that you're my friend. I don't care. Like, I'm going to help you achieve these goals.
And that's why I get that Goku vibe to him. So he's so hyper-focused on his personality. He's like, you always got Vegeta talking to him about, like, Saiyans need to be this and Saiyans need to be that. And he's like, well, I'm still a Saiyan and I can do all these things. And it's like, again, he's a pirate and he still wants to be a pirate in his own way. And I think that's where it sets up the course, where it's like, you've got these different pirates, you've got these different characters, and there is no right or wrong. And I guess as a viewer, very from the early stage of this, and you already sort of said it, like when you're getting these pirates where you're like, oh, well, pirates are typically bad. Here's a pirate, depending on how deep they go into the storytelling as to how they sort of became who they are.
Yeah, because they didn't want to do it like, because Luffy's a pirate, all pirates are good. It's like, no, pirates can still be bad. And here we go, first episode. Pirates are still bad. Even though our main character is a pirate and a good guy, there are still bad pirates.
Yeah. But I love the Shanks part of it, which I think is about episode maybe 2 or 3. I can't really remember.
It's episode 4.
Yeah. Is it? So it's actually in the next arc. So we can't touch on that.
Well, it
doesn't
matter.
Look,
it's like, some wikis say romance arc, a romance dawn is 1 to 4. Some of them it say it's just 1 to 3.
Yeah.
Because in the manga, it's the first episode is Luffy as a kid hanging out with Shanks. There's no boy in the barrel until episode chapter 2, chapter 3 and stuff like that.
Gotcha. So the first 1 or 2 episodes at least, like it's an introduction of Luffy meets Koby. They basically save Koby off the ship, and then I like at the end there. And we're going to spoiler territory because by this time people are obviously trying to watch this.
Oh, this is full spoilers.
Yeah, full. Yeah. All right, sweet. So they're basically just like
watch-along podcast.
It's interesting, like even at the end where Luffy sort of like gives the respect to be like, no, I don't know this kid. I've got no attachment to him whatsoever. Get out of here. Which allows the Marines to take on Koby because the Marines were sort of like. Koby says, I want to join the Marines, and then the Marines are looking at him at the end going, are you associated with this pirate?
Luffy.
Yeah. And so Luffy...
Where people see Luffy as this like very Goku character where it's like just dumb and fun and stuff like that. But I think people don't look at Luffy enough to see that like Luffy's a lot smarter than he gives off to people.
I think he's got a lot of depth into him. He
does so many of these tiny little things that people don't notice unless a few characters do that are like, and they're the ones that respect him the most where they're like, and that's also why they give him the most shit when he's being dumb because they're like, we know how smart you are because you do these things all the time.
But that's typical anime storytelling, isn't it? All your main characters, doesn't have to be Goku, could be Naruto or anything like that, have a silly, quirky side to it, which they all give him shit for. But at the end of the day is when it comes time where he needs to stand up for everything that he believes in or as a character, he does it. And people see that. And that's why people sort of like the characters around him sort of say, like, I know he looks like a goofball and all the rest of it, but watch this space because you're going to be a friend for life for him. And
Luffy's full autistic ADHD boy. That's also why I've loved him my whole life because God, I see so much of myself in him. Because,
I can see him very much relatable. So many people. He's awesome.
Yeah. The other big thing we get introduced to, which is the huge world of One Piece, is devil fruits. This is like your first like. Oh, does everybody have these things?
That's it.
Or is just a Luffy thing?
Yeah. And so the devil fruits, even in this second run that I was watching for, I'm most fascinated about devil fruits. Like, after watching these 2 arcs, there was nothing more that I wanted to do, which I didn't, was to jump onto Google and work out how many are there? What's the scarcity on these things? Because
they're still very scarce until you get to the Grand Line.
Yeah, because it's just like even that first introduction with the first pirate, I was sort of assuming all these main pirates are going to have devil fruit powers. No. But they don't. And
that's why everyone freaks out when like somebody has a devil fruit in the East Blue. For world building context, there's 5 seas. There's the East, West, North, and South. They're like their own little separate kind of, in a sense, island oceans, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And you can't get to the other ocean without either crossing the Grand Line or crossing the Red Line.
Yeah.
To get to, like, you can't go from the east to the west. You'll have to cross over the Red Line, which is impossible to do. Like, literally impossible. The East Blue Sea, where Luffy's from, is the weakest of the seas. Like,
which is always the case, isn't it?
Yeah. And which is funny because, like, down the track, you look back and you're like, yeah, but this person was from the East Blue Sea and this person and this person. I think it's just in the sense of the world, people just
it's always the same. It's like Pokemon. It's like, oh, your level Bulbasaur is like a 3, and then they go out there in the universe and it's like ginormous, but everyone starts at the bottom. But I like it. I like it.
East, West, North, South, and then you've got the Grand Line, which is the ocean that runs like the equator in the sense, and you can't get into the Grand Line from any of the seas because there's a calm belt where there's like no waves, no wind, and they haven't got machines to kind of get across that. And then it's also filled with, as you got to see a little bit of, an Emperor of the Sea, which is the kind of creature that attacked Luffy in the Shanks kind of flashback.
Yes.
So in the calm belt, they are everywhere. They're like as common as normal fish. So people can't cross that because there's just Emperors of the Sea everywhere and all that. So that's why you can't just go anywhere you want in the One Piece world. There's like a procedure to get into the Grand Line from the seas and all that. So there are 3 types of devil fruits. This is not spoilery because you get them. You'll see them when they get there.
This is actually new to me. I don't know this.
Yeah, like, so there's 3.
Yeah.
There's 3. There's like I can't, oh man. Now I can't remember their names off by heart. The Logias, you are actually becoming the form of something, as in like you are a fire person or you're a water person, and the smoke you see later on. I think the first Logia you see is Smoker.
Yeah.
Where he is a smoke man.
Yep.
And so like physical things can't hit you because you are made of that substance in a sense. And then, God, I forgot what they're called, but they're the ones where you take on a characteristic, as in like Luffy.
The rubber.
It is like rubber. He's not made of rubber.
No, but he takes on the
he's just got the characteristics of rubber.
Gotcha.
Then Buggy, who we'll see in the next arc, he has the chop fruit, where he has the ability to get chopped and stuff like that. And then Avidia, when you see her again, she has the like slip fruit or something like that, where things slip off her. I think that's what her one was. So yeah, people just can like, there's like a person that can increase their weight. So when they jump up in the air, they can turn into 1,000 tons. So then they fall to the ground, they do that. That's kind of all devil fruits are kind of that.
But what's the disadvantage of eating the devil fruit? Why do people not want to eat the devil fruit?
You can't go in the ocean.
That's it.
It's sea salt, I think it is like sea water. And actually the salt in water, I think that's the biggest theory at the moment.
So it's nothing concrete in 1,065 episodes, or whatever it is. There's no concrete evidence as to why these devil
We still
fruits...
don't understand the devil fruits and where they've come from yet, properly.
Far out.
We still don't know the origin really.
Do you know how many there are of these fruits? How many?
Oh, billions. We actually
now we're talking Dragon Ball GT levels. How powerful? Billions.
Oh yeah, like once you get to the Grand Line where like the fruits grow, mostly like everyone nearly has it, especially in the second half of the Grand Line.
Yeah. Okay. Damn.
Yeah, and then the third type is anamorphic, if that makes sense.
Yep.
So there's like the snake fruit, and then there's the wolf fruit, and there's the dog fruit, and all that. And each one of them has a category in itself where it's like base level, carnivorous, prehistoric, and mythologic. And like that's the power level. So herbivore, anything animal related that's herbivore, they're the weakest.
Yep.
Then anything animal wise that's carnivorous is the next level up. Anything prehistoric is the next level up, and then you'll have mythic one.
Bloody hell.
So you'll have like phoenixes and dragons and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, well, I'm way know any of that. So all I know is he's eaten one and he can't swim anymore, which we'll talk about in the others, because I never picked that up until the second run through. I don't know why I didn't pick that up the first time round. Because in the second time around, I'm like, okay, there is a disadvantage. They can't actually swim, which is devastating, because if you want to be a pirate, it's a bit hardcore.
Yeah, that's the catch of it all, of like the sea hates you, and that's why they're called devil fruits, because like you are a devil to the sea in a sense.
But I do like how that gets introduced with the Buggy, which is the next arc, which we'll talk about a bit later. So moving on there, so we get introduced to Zoro.
Yep.
All right.
The biggest badass in anime,
Everyone loves Zoro, hey. Like, he's the bee's knees, hey. All you get is so much love for this Zoro.
Boys want to be him.
Boys want to be him.
Boys want to have sex with him. Girls want to be him, and girls want to have sex with him. It's not just like one or the other. Everybody either wants to be him or have sex with him. Doesn't boy, girl, non-binary, whatever. Everybody wants to have a big chunky piece of that Zoro ass.
Well, Luffy fucking loves him. So So how do we meet him? He's tied up. The Marines have got him.
This is where you get another key characteristic of Luffy, where everyone's like, he's a bad guy, he's in prison, and Luffy instantly goes, I don't care what everyone says, I'm gonna go meet him and form my own opinion of this person.
Yeah, which
like
then...
Luffy never takes in what anyone says, what rumors, what anything. He always judges a person. Like, even villains, he's still gone to be like, no, I'm going to check it out. And then being like, oh, no, you are a villain.
Yeah,
okay.
you're over. Yeah. No, and so, like, I'm trying to remember as to how so the Marines caught him, because he's pegged as, when they first meet him, he hates pirates. So it doesn't work really well for Luffy. And he's a pirate hunter. So, like...
Pretty much everyone Luffy meets in the East Blue hates pirates.
That's
like,
pretty much
Nami hates pirates.
Everyone that
Sanji
joins
hates
his crew
pirates.
is the most unlikely to join the crew.
Yeah.
So, and somehow they sort of just like, they just make it work. Or he ends up befriending them or something, which takes them on a completely different path where it's like, I've hated pirates for this, like all my life, but now I've met you and we're all good. So let's go sailing. And so
he protects the little girl from being attacked.
That's it.
From the dog. And then when Helmeppo goes to be like, you can't do this, my father. And then so he knocks him out too as well. Because like Helmeppo tries to like attack him. And then teases a little bit with Helmeppo, like not all villains are as obvious as you think they are. Like they're not just like, I'm a bad guy because I'm a bad guy. Like Hand Morgan is, like straight up. But then you like, oh, Helmeppo's an asshole because his dad's a piece of shit and has taught him to be one, and also like hates him and abuses him. And
yeah, but he's just a spoiled
it's still not justified.
He's just a spoiled little bastard. Like
that's what I said. It's a tease of what's going to be coming because it's still not a good one yet.
And that's it. And so when you're watching this for the first time, these are throwaway characters. So you're just like, he's a dick. Hopefully he gets killed off in some Game of Thrones quickness. But, like, he does come back. So, again, so you get this straight away, like, okay, he's a dick. His reason why he's a dick because he's, like, a spoiled brat because his dad's high up in the military or the Marines. And then you find out, like, later on, like, the dad just doesn't give a shit about him anyway. Gives him a big, like, ass-whooping anyway. Everyone gives this guy an ass-whooping. Luffy gives him an ass-whooping.
Yeah.
It's good.
Poor Helmeppo.
Nah, fuck him. So far.
And then, look, he is not good until, like, a very long one, but also he is the epitome of One Piece, as in the long journey with the character, and like because if it was a quick, Helmeppo's awesome now. You're like, no, this doesn't feel deserved. Like Helmeppo goes through the crucible to earn your respect eventually. To be like Helmeppo's a fucking.
But you got again, Nato. This is coming from someone that is an early in the piece.
That's what I mean.
You got to get there.
That's why this is not a good like intro for people, and that's why I know every time That's why I don't get angry at people when they're like, "Nah." Bounced off the first couple episodes of One Piece. I'm like, yeah, I know. And if I had a way to get people into One Piece without having to go through the start arcs of One Piece. God, it'd be so much easier.
No, I think from my perspective, watching the second round, if you could say, take note of this character because this character sticks around. I think, because it's identifying now on a second run through these arcs.
Yeah, but he doesn't stick around until episode 400, and trying to tell somebody, hey, when he comes back in episode 400, he's going to be fucking awesome.
Yeah, okay. Well, and then look, and maybe it's just that.
But that's the thing. You're not waiting for him to come back. It's in 400 episodes, he comes back. It's not like, oh, wait 400 episodes, he gets awesome. No, a million other cool stuff happens, and then all of a sudden, he comes back into the story.
So what's the go with Zoro? So Zoro gets captured. He's tied up. He's on this pole. He's sitting out there.
If he sits out there for a month,
he
gets free, and the little girl doesn't get hurt, and the mum won't get hurt, they're not going to get executed.
But he's starving. So the little girl gives him food or tries to sneak him food? Yeah.
But Helmeppo finds them, knocks it into the dirt.
Yeah.
And then when that whole scenario finishes, he walks off and shows another
side to him.
Like, well, no, it also
just
shows,
a characteristic, isn't it? Yeah.
It shows a teaching moment for Luffy as well. Like, I don't know if it is because he goes, no, still feed me the stuff. He's like, but it's covered in mud. And he's like, yeah, it's all right. Like, this is the thing. And in a good...
Survive.
I don't know, 800 episodes, Luffy does the exact same thing.
Wow, that's
in
sick.
Zoro's thing. And I'll go back to the Shanks bit as well. This is the two big ones in like 3 episodes where like the Shanks bar scene, Luffy does that with his crew in like in a good. I think in like episode, I'd say it'd be around 400 as well.
See what we're talking about? Like they're so. Oh, that gets me excited knowing that there's these moments where like you could watch this thing and you think that moment's really cool. Like I hit with that. They know, like we're talking about Oda being this god, as you said in the first episode, go check it out. Or this is technically 1, so maybe 0. But you talk about like these moments where he writes this in where he knows this is going to hit home for a lot of people. He knows it to a point there where he'll introduce it back in to be like, people go, fuck, that's what... I remember that part really distinctly. Because even
there's
going to
be a pirate that is like way weaker than Luffy that comes into a bar, doesn't know who Luffy is, and it's just like, get out of my bar, and like pretty much acts like the mountain bandits, and like Luffy and Zoro sit at the bar and take bottles to the head and stuff like that. And Nami's like, what are you guys, like, Nami becomes the Luffy in that moment, and it's just like, what are you doing and all that, and that scene nearly plays out par for par. The food scene as well, like somebody makes food for Luffy and it gets knocked into the dirt, and then he eventually like eats it out of the dirt, and he's like, no, that was so delicious, thank you so much, and all that. And it's just,
that's so what? So how does it fast forward again? So if we go, like, he's captured, tries to do the 30 days. They find out that Luffy
he's
or the girl finds out.
He's going to get
that's right.
He's going to get executed anyway, and then so Luffy's like, if I get your sword to join my crew.
Right. He's got his 3 swords. Yeah. So he's known as the 3 swordsman. Or no, he works on the 3 swords. He's got a 3 sword style.
3 sword style.
3 sword style, that's right. So Luffy helps him get his swords. The girl and Luffy tell him, like, you're going to get executed, so let's get you out of here. He jumps down
just as the moment when the firing line's about to kill Zoro.
That's right.
And, like, Luffy takes all that big moment.
Yeah, that's the moment. Yeah, that's right.
Not only for, like, the viewer, but also, like, Zoro, where, like, all the bullets go into Luffy, and you're like, holy moly, and next minute they're like,
ricochet
and you're
off,
like, holy moly, he's a complete rubber boy.
This is where, as the viewer, you're trying to work out what is his limitations. Like, he can't be invincible. And so you soon find out, I don't know if it's around that arc where he can get cut. So he cuts and he bleeds, but somehow he can
you can cut rubber.
Yeah, well, yeah. And so, but I feel like so far in that early stage that's where you see him taking the most damage, really.
Yeah.
But like getting shot with stuff, whether it's bullets, cannons, anything like that, no issue whatsoever. Yeah. If anything, he uses it to like his advantage, I guess. Which again, like talking about, because you shared also like the difference between like, is it the 4Kids version where obviously they didn't have the guns, and like watching that is so cringe now because you're like looking at it going, instead of guns they had water pistols or something. You're like, this is so...
or poison darts.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. Oh no, like it was like rubber sucker things.
Yeah, the rubber sucker, and like he's like,
and he goes pops them off.
He pops them off like it really hurts. Like, it's terrible. Yeah. Don't do it.
So that's Romance Dawn, I think, and then eventually, like Luffy, we talked about. You mentioned it. Luffy does the very smart tactic of going against Koby at the end to like make it look like they're not friends, which pretty much happens in fucking every arc. Like you see it in the next arc as well, the Buggy arc, where they're like, where the old man from the mayor from the town's
like,
oh, shaking my hand, but also thanks you guys.
Yeah. That's it. I love those moments. That's really
that's
good.
Nearly every end of every arc. Everyone's like, oh, that's right, you're a pirate, but also.
But that's it. This is where this interpretation comes to. Like you're always going to see different sides of stories, and if they keep investing, they play on the heartstrings, and so they know that even in that, it's that really good storytelling where they've got a short amount of time sometimes in these episodes where they've really got to dictate like if we're moving into the Orange Town arc sort of like storytelling, what's the dog story versus what's
that's one that I've written down.
So what's the dog story versus what's the mayor's story of that? So anyway,
all right,
I'm going early.
We'll finish up a bit of Shanks. We'll finish up Shanks, and then just the last bit of Shanks is when he goes to rescue Luffy. He sacrifices his arm to save Luffy from that Emperor of the Sea.
Yeah,
which is still the most hotly debated thing in One Piece, still to this day.
What?
Especially when you see what Shanks can do in the future.
I don't. Okay, so why? Just to hold you, I don't know nothing about Shanks. And so the only thing I know at this point in time, because it really feels like
he's probably the most strongest character in all of One Piece.
Okay.
He is like, so a Dragon Ball Super level, he is like Beerus. Or that's how you say the name?
Beerus.
Yeah, Beerus.
Yeah, the god of destruction. Yeah.
He is like Beerus sitting
in the early stage when Luffy was a young kid? Get the fuck out of here. Really?
Yeah.
And obviously that goes towards the whole point of like, I can destroy all these people in this bar, but I won't, because why would I stress over the small stuff? Because
there was like a hotly debated bit for a moment of like, oh, he wasn't an emperor at that stage, but there's a bit later on in the series where he meets up with one of the emperors and he's like, oh, you're missing your arm and stuff like that. And he's like, oh yeah, like I'm investing in the future, the next generation and stuff like that. So he was an emperor when he goes back to chill in the town for a bit.
Well, so can we talk about Shanks? If we're at this episode, is the Shanks part in between Romance Dawn and Orange Town? All right, so let's
it's like a gateway arc.
All right, so I know from your perspective, when you read the manga, this is where you enter into, right? Which I reckon, from a reading perspective, that's a great
would have been a better thing.
Yeah. But let's talk about it now. So ultimately, at the end of the day, they have a flashback. So you do the music. What does it sound like? Something like this. That's nice. And so what happens is they end up just showing like Luffy. He's young. He's at a bar. He's basically, I don't know why he's at a bar when he's like, I don't know how old do you reckon he is. He's about 6 or 7.
It's because at that moment the town is looking after Luffy for.
Because you never see any sort of parental. There's no
because that's what I mean. They don't.
Like that.
You all find out all about this in the manga. Like his grandpa drops him here to be looked after, and then after Shanks leave, he comes back and he's like, God damn it! And he takes them and he leaves them with somebody else.
Right. Okay. So
that's when Luffy meets his brothers, which you'll find out later.
I didn't even know he's had brothers. Nato, just calm down, mate. So with this one here, he's at the bar. He's obviously with Shanks. Shanks and the boys sinking a few. Plus they're just destroying the whole bunch of foods and whatnot. And then they have as you said, they have the bad guys come in. The other, what are they like? They're not pirates. They're mountain.
They're mountain bandits.
Okay. So they want to take on, they want to get in their drinks, and Shanks talks about, sorry, boys, we've drunk and everything. You can have this last bit of rum. And they get into that sort of turf war, and Luffy's sort of like, look, don't take that, Shanks, just beat him up sort of thing. And then
you're stronger than them. Beat him up.
And then Shanks sort of teaches him the lesson there.
Like a kid's mentality.
Yeah. And then, even the crew, sort of already know what's going to happen. They could take him down, but then they just have a bit of a laugh over it. And then that's when Luffy sort of gets pissed off, but then he sees the devil fruit, which is sitting there on the bar, open to the world, which is what's going on there? This thing's valuable as hell, and they just leave it open on the bar. So anyway,
there's big theories that Shanks sets it up purposely. We don't know. We don't know. That's what I mean. 1,000 episodes in, I'm still nearly at the same information level as you.
So my
episodes in,
my thought is that Luffy's obviously seen Shanks and the pirates a few times. Whether they stop in regularly to this bar, because it can't.
I think he's been with them. I think they've been on the island for a couple of years.
Oh, okay, so that's how it works. All right, because you feel like there's a bit of a not just a day relationship here. It's that's
what I mean. The anime doesn't do it well.
Yeah, well, they're trying to smash it in one episode, this little bite in the next 5 minutes. So anyway, so he eats the devil fruit, gets pissed off. He's like, I want to be stronger and so on. So he eats this devil fruit, and then Shanks sort of flips out just to start.
Wait. Rewind 2 seconds. Just before, when they're teasing him, he's like, oh, I'm strong. My hands are
that's right.
My punches are like pistols.
I missed that part. Okay.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes. These are the little things that I'll always slip to you because, I'm not going to hint at it too much, but that's what he said. My punches are like pistols. And what does he call his his first ever gum ability? Gum pistols.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Pick up. So good. And so then he starts destroying that, as in the devil fruit. So it's the big old purple one that everyone's sort of seeing. And then straight away, the power seemed to come.
Tastes like crap. Yeah. That is a good point as well. Because apparently all the devil fruits taste fucking terrible.
I'm trying to remember now. Because I don't ever remember Luffy going yuck, but I do remember. I thought I remembered.
You do in a later flashback, but in the manga, you see he eats it and he's like, and that's when they notice he ate it.
Yeah, okay. And straight away, the powers start coming to him because Shanks starts trying to get it back from him, to put him upside down and had him on the legs
to get it out of his throat.
And then the rubber action immediately starts happening. So he's got it straight away, but I guess. Then what happens after that is that they get into the fight with the bandits again outside, or is it then?
No, Luffy goes to pick a fight with them in defense of Shanks because he's like, if Shanks won't stand up for himself, I'll go stand up for my hero.
That's it. And then this is where old mate, the bandit, sort of grabs him and throws him in the water.
And then you see the other side of Shanks where it's like Shanks is cool until you threaten somebody.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
When you threaten to do harm to one of his friends or somebody he cares about, all of a sudden you get pirate Shanks.
Yeah, and that's when they shoot the old mate.
That's where you see the proper violence.
Yeah.
Like the crewmate just goes bang.
Yeah.
Instantly.
Yeah, that's right.
And he's like, pistols aren't toys. Pistols are, if you are about to brandish it, it is to kill somebody.
Yeah, that's right.
It is not for threatening. It is a weapon to kill.
That seems to happen really swiftly. And the way that they sort of set that up is like, these are very happy-go-lucky pirates that are happy to sort of like move on from fights and not fight. But then obviously, as soon as you sort of disrespect or have any harm to any friend or crew member.
It's not disrespect. It's just because there's some bits later on down the line you see like people trying to disrespect Shanks and he's still just like, I don't care. And then there's a point that just happened in the manga where finally, again, somebody threatens somebody, and then all of a sudden Shanks kicks into action, and then everybody that was reading mangas were like,
holy shit.
Oh, God, he is Barris.
Wow, okay. And so they shoot, and then he throws Luffy in the water?
No, he does the smoke bomb and disappears.
Ah, okay.
And then that's where he's like sailing off to sea because he realizes how strong Shanks thing. And that's when the Emperor of the Sea attacks and eats instantly the bandit. And then just as it's about to eat Luffy, Shanks gets in there, and because Shanks hasn't got a devil fruit, so he can swim.
That's it.
That's not a spoiler because you literally see him swim.
Yeah, I didn't even pick that up actually. That's right.
He does not have a devil fruit at all.
That's why it sort of surprised me when you were talking about how strong he is. Yeah, because I assumed that he had no devil fruit because he was swimming in there. Hence why I went to save him. Okay. Yeah. I'm still in the dark.
And then you get the hint of what will future thing. I'm not going to get into it too much, but you get the first hint. You don't realize it at this time, but you'll get your first hint of haki, which is similar to like chakra in Naruto and charge up power in Dragon Ball Z and chi and stuff like that. Yeah. And Shanks uses his chi to kind of like his haki to scare off the Emperor of the Sea.
Because there are like, as you go into this, there are pirates out there that just seem to have like these special powers or certain like skill sets, but they don't have devil fruit. So you can't like, it's not this whole assumption where it's like everyone's got powers, like or every.
No, it's just your strength of will is your haki. Yeah, but you won't see haki until after time skip.
Right.
You just get glimpses of it, and you don't know it's glimpses. But this is your first. This is what I'm saying. This is your first glimpse of.
And
haki.
Once again, if you don't know what you're looking for, I totally didn't see that, and nor even the second round. I'm like trying to think about it, and there's nothing there that would indicate it unless they go back and say something like, "Oh, back in the day, if you can remember X, Y, Z." So there at that point, Shanks saves Luffy because Luffy obviously can't swim. Shanks loses an arm as part of that. He saves him. Which is a bit of a touching scene because obviously Luffy's very upset. And Shanks
in the anime, it's still not as violent as well. Like it is
brutal in the manga.
It is a amazingly drawn panel. Like you're seeing it from looking at them in the anime. You kind of see from like a third person.
Yeah.
But you are seeing from the front, and that panel is just it's the bubble where Luffy goes, "Your arm," and it's like. From the front, and you are seeing like the tattered and the blood dripping down, and like the pool of blood on the water. And
because I feel like it's showing from the side when it's like the anime, which is obviously like more less graphic, but like again something like, and that's the reason why like I've gone back now, and some of these animes that I've really enjoyed, I've just gone back and read the manga, and it's so good. Just to give you a different perspective and appreciation for it. So he's lost an arm, which again is a touching scene. And I'd like to look at the manga on that again, or at least first time.
I'll just put it in Discord for you. You can have a quick
that's
squiz.
Nice. Yeah, that's cool. I like that. That's very cool.
It's a lot more vicious and violent.
Yeah, than the anime. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But look at his smile. Like, again, they must bring this up, like, with Luffy just absolutely distraught in the water, and... Yeah, Shanks just sitting there like
he's investing into the future in the same way you learn about Roger on his deathbed being like the One Piece is out there, go out there and get it, which inspires this huge generation of pirates to become pirates. This is Shanks doing it on a minor scale this is my one.
It's like the generation after the D Roger
after me.
And then you've got Luffy, which is the new generation. And then so after the save, the one thing that we didn't mention is that in the bar they talk about like Shanks' hat, which is obviously like he always talks about it as his most prized possession. He'll never give it up, like how it is the most valuable treasure that he has.
We still don't understand the straw hat either.
Yeah, and so like immediately you get this you're getting this appreciation of like he's a pirate where in the world of One Piece there's a massive emphasis on treasures, but there's a lot of symbolism around treasure, around what that looks like to others. And so I think
found family. That's the other big one.
Okay.
Rather than real family, found family. And like Shanks and Luffy is a perfect example. That's the father-son dynamic.
Yeah. And this is where I'm very cautious when it comes to like it's already building up this experience about One Piece so far from my experience is talking about the journey. It's all about the journey, not the destination. It's about like getting there, and at the end of the day, the treasure is what you find along the way, and the treasure looks very different to everyone. And when we're going to talk about the Orange Town, we'll talk about treasure, which I think is a big emphasis on treasure and how that looks to different characters. But again, like I'm 70 episodes in. I got 1,000 to go, but I'm so worried that we're going to get to the end of this. If I ever get to the end of this thing, and then it's just going to be like, I hope you enjoy.
Well, you're on the saga / arc that is like, if you don't think One Piece is nearly in your top 10 at the end of this arc,
of this arc.
Yeah,
of this arc.
No.
Oh no, of the one I'm in. Yeah. Because I was going to say, mate, I bailed easily out of this arc. And
Alabasta
Orange.
arc is like the cement piece.
I agree. That's what got me. All right, so coming back to the Straw Hat bar. So he talks about, Shanks always talks about, like in the early piece, when they're at the bar, like it's his most valuable possession. It's his biggest prize. He'll never, ever let it go.
Have you been told where you're up to, where the hat came from?
No.
Okay.
No. So let's leave it like that because I want to. Okay. Because I'm trying to, as we go, I'm trying to slow up my viewings of the episode so that way I can have my mind blown.
Have you had Shanks' origin as well? Do you know where Shanks? Okay. No. Ooh. Okay. I thought you would have known by now.
If you're thinking I must be close, but I'm not. No, I haven't had any flashbacks about
that happens. Yeah. Okay.
But to seal off this Romance Dawn. Basically, at the end.
How are we on time? Have we got enough to go into?
Yeah, we're at we got 48. We're at 48 minutes.
Well, Orange isn't as long as this arc here, so we can bash. We can bash
it. Too. Yeah, all right. Well, so let's rip and tear. So at the end of the day with Shanks, he gives the straw hat to Luffy as he's exiting the port for that time, and basically saying that what's the conditions? He wants the hat back in the future when he becomes a great pirate, and he wants it in the same condition.
Yeah. When you've become a great pirate, come find me. Yeah. And when you're better than me, give it back to me.
When you're better than me? Is that what it is? Okay.
Well, yeah, like a better pirate than me, I think he says.
I'm starting to get like these Uchiha vibes with like, you know, like is it Sasuke and Itachi, where Itachi set him up to be like, come find me when you're stronger, and then you got Sasuke obviously.
Oh, absolutely. I think they're about to fight where they're in the manga now. Like I think the two crews are about to go at each other.
Okay, all right.
I'm so excited.
All right, so that's a great exit because at the end of the day, you're looking at someone that's then becomes the treasure of Shank has now passed on to the treasure of Luffy, and this becomes the greatest prize for Luffy next to his pursuit to become the king of the pirates. And he's so...
Which is funny because that hat being a treasure, you'll find out why that is a reason why the villain in the next arc we're about to talk about, Buggy, hates Shanks and what he's done with... like. You get a glimpse of it, but it's not the real truth. We only just learned about it in the manga, like the real kind of like cementing thing with Shanks and our next villain as we move into it.
Yeah,
Buggy.
Yeah, yeah. I just like to end this one off for the Romance Dawn. If even like episode 4 ends there, I just like how it all sets it up. I think it plays some really iconic scenes, and I think that transition of this one treasure from Shanks to Luffy, it always gets brought back. And so any of these conversations where Luffy's sort of like looking at why he's doing what he's doing, it always gets back to the treasure. And the treasure being like this hat and in the pursuit of giving it back to Shanks with the ultimate goal of being better and achieving what he's set out to. And he's so protective on it, which goes into the next arc, if you want to introduce that one and give us a bit of an
Yes,
overview.
so we're going into the Orange... Is it just called Orange Town? Yeah, Orange Town arc. Where the quick summary of that is, Luffy and his first crew member Zoro, because now Zoro has joined the crew.
Welcome aboard.
God, I just want to quick mention that where Zoro goes, you're gunning for the future Pirate King. You must have already got a big crew together. And he's like, nope, you're just the first one. And he's like, oh, what have I signed myself up to?
It's good. And can I also mention something, because I forgot to mention this. I like the iconic scene where like Luffy and Koby. So Koby's obviously trying to tell him, you know, what he wants to achieve and how he's so scared, and he's obviously being captured by these pirates. And Luffy's whole saying of like, hey, you're a moron and a coward. I hate people like you. Like how it sets it up and how like
that's what I think. Like Luffy's autistic, because like that is a very
there's no filter
trait.
Yeah.
And that's some things I've nearly said sometimes when I've not read the room properly, and as an ADHD autistic person.
But I do like how it sets it up to where he's like, you know, what's the old saying? Like
it's the brutal truth that he needed.
Yeah, I know, and that's it. When you hit rock bottom, there's only one way up, and it's literally like, here's the truth. You shit.
Because it's not sent with like malicious.
No.
Like it's and that's and if it was, it wouldn't have been taken the same way that like Koby took it, where he realized he wasn't saying it to like bully him or be mean to him. He's just like, bro, like you are this.
Yeah.
Like if you want to be this, then you can't be.
You can't be that.
You are right now. Yeah,
and I think that's the biggest pursuit. Like once he realizes, like, okay, you're at the bottom level, right? And so there's only one way to go, and then for you to do that, you need to do this, and like that's when he steps out. Anyway, mate, I digress. Sorry, I just wanted to add that.
All right, Orange Town. No, that's it. Orange Town. With Luffy trying to catch a bird, I think to eat it. I think that was the plan, and he gets his head stuck in its jaw, and then he like flies off.
Weird,
and then they run into this character that like. I didn't want to completely mention her before because she shows up here and there in those first 4 episodes, which is Nami.
Yeah.
And then we fully get the proper introduction to Nami, which is the cat burglar.
Yeah.
The thief of pirates.
That's right.
She is a pirate.
No.
She steals from pirates.
She actually hates pirates, which is really interesting, like, because you get this introduction.
Sets up big things from the future, doesn't it?
It does. Yes, it very does. But it's
like here's the one line that sets up everything about her. She goes, Nami, I only like money and tangerines. And you're like, that's a weird line.
Yeah. But it makes sense.
The money and the tangerines, and then in a few like 20 more episodes, you're just like tangerines.
It's so good. I can't wait to talk about that. Anyway, all right.
And then they end up falling in with Buggy the Clown, as he is another pirate. He runs the Clown Pirates, or is it Red Nose Pirates?
It's the Buggy Army, is it? No, what is it? The Buggy Crew?
I don't know. Look, it's not that I don't remember. He just has changed the name of his crew a million times through the series, because here's your big thing. Buggy's going to show up a lot. Yes, he might be a little annoying at first, but Buggy, he's to make a similarity with
pirates,
with Dragon Ball Z. One Piece has a big habit of turning villains into like either recurring characters or like, you know, Vegeta in a sense, and like even things from original Dragon Ball like Yamcha and all that. Yamcha was a villain in Dragon Ball.
But that's how it's always been. Like even Frieza, even though they've never really coached Frieza over, they'll still use Frieza.
Buggy becomes Luffy's like Frieza.
Yeah, I reckon that's the way to go. Yep.
Yeah, and he shows up so many times, and is his ally sometimes, and then all of a sudden he's his villain again, and he's his ally again.
But this is also the first introduction where you've got a bad pirate, and keep in mind we've only really seen 2 so far, including Buggy. But
he's doing very bad things.
But and see, he's doing very bad things. He's basically taken over this town, and it's the first pirate, or actually any person outside of Luffy, that actually has the devil fruit powers.
Yes.
Which is interesting, because now you start to get context of, okay, there's other fruits, and
it's not just Luffy with these wacky. He's not the main character with just the powers. It's like, oh no, this is where you've probably got to a point now where you realize Luffy's powers are actually nearly one of the weaker devil fruits. It's just Luffy uses it well rather than it being a strong power in a sense, because there's some very strong powers you've probably seen so far.
Yeah, there definitely are. And I guess like it's that what is it? It's the ability to use them as best you can. And like you say, and you've already pointed that out there. But this is a really, I didn't mind this arc because it actually
This is where you get your first heartfelt story.
That's right. So there's a couple of, but it comes in different areas there where they're really tugging on the heartstrings of like the mayor, which are like, I guess when we talk about this arc, I talk about like a focus on treasures and the treasures of different people. So you've got like the mayor, which is Mayor Boodle, which is like this, all he wants to do is protect it. His biggest treasure is the people in his town, and all he wants to do is protect them.
It's more his people.
Yeah, and he wants to go in.
It's less the town.
He wants to go fight Buggy, and he wants to go and just sacrifice himself against this, and he wants to protect the town's people in doing that. And I think this is where Luffy sort of steps in. And then you've got the dog, which is the dog is cute as hell. And
the dog's treasure is the shop, his previous now deceased owner's shop.
Sure.
Where it's like, I'm just going to stay out the front. And I know, like, as the kind of town mayor, like, hints at, like, he knows that his owner's not there anymore. But it's like, this is the last piece of him alive. This is his last memory of his owner that he loves. So he's going to protect it to the end against mythological beings and things, and will still go against it. And that's where you get that nearly back and forth where like you get more of that Nami hate for pirates, like look what you guys have done and all that, but then like Luffy doesn't even engage with that conversation because he knows she's also right in that sense. So that's why he doesn't kind of go against her in that, like, me and the other pirates broke the dog's building and the rest of this town. Like, we didn't win in a sense.
Yeah.
So he just like walks past her, goes and finishes, gives the dog food and goes, sorry, man, this is all I could get, and like sits with the dog. And it's like, oh man, you don't just go hard for human people. Like, you went hard for this dog that you met 2 seconds ago. Like,
yeah. And I think that's where like Luffy is really interesting because he's very like empathetic in the sense of like he's always looking out. Doesn't matter who you are, he's always looking out for those.
If it's
like,
not about food.
If it's not,
If it's not about food, Luffy is always doing something for somebody else.
Yeah.
Like, he is never like, even like you'd say similar like Goku is, but Goku still does a lot of his things selfishly.
Yeah, he does.
Where like he does it for the fight, he does it for the fun, he does it for this. Like, Luffy is 99% of the time doing something for somebody else. Like, every arc, every episode is like, even if it's on it takes you a second or third time that you're like, oh, holy moly. Like, he was still doing this just for this person or this thing or just to make everybody happy. Like, he puts the weight of the world always on his shoulders to make everybody like happy around him that in his mind deserves it.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I like,
even if it's a dog.
And the dog story is a good one. You even get attached to it. So I really enjoyed that.
It's like your hints of like, oh, he did this with like 15 minutes of an episode, and oh wait, this series goes for 1,000 episodes. What the hell can he do with this kind of character building over 1,000 episodes? It's not like where some people take 1,000 episodes because they need that time but it's like, no, I've got 1,000 episodes to do things that are going to break you as a person. There's before the time skip, there was a thing that made me like depressed for a whole week. Like, I just sat and did nothing apart from the things I needed to function as a human because it destroyed me.
I don't know how this stuff doesn't become spoiler in the sense of like again, we were talking about this before the podcast, but like now with these episodes sort of dropping with Zoro's doing big things, like I've just sort of had to like, and that's the thing when you start looking at like, again, social media, when you start, especially Instagram, when you start looking at stuff like One Piece related, it always comes either with the memes or the most updates with people sharing all like the fan art stuff.
I think everyone's like silently agreed to not spoil like 2 major things in One Piece.
Good.
And because they wreck you so hard, and like you would feel like you disrespected Luffy himself by revealing this plot.
So if we talk about Buggy, so Buggy seems to be a pirate that's been around for a while. He's actually got the devil fruit, as we've sort of already mentioned. So he's don't know what he ate, like as in like what type of fruit, but he
chop fruit.
Yeah, chop fruit. Okay, so what's and that's the other thing too. I've obviously found like whatever they eat these fruits, they've got it when they do these like signature moves. They seem to have like the gum. They've always got to throw gum.
You watch the English version as well, so it seems a bit weirder because like a lot of Japanese anime does like Japanese puns and things like that, but they don't translate to English. Like the chop fruit in Japanese is like a funny play on words that means kind of chop in a sense, or like slice, and there's a like, man, once you get into like how Oda like makes the funniness of the fruit names and what they do and all that, it's like a whole big thing. But then when it turns to English, it's like chop this and gum this, and you're like, oh no, like it's funny in Japanese, or sometimes it's still not funny even if you get an English translation, because you can't translate how that joke works ever to English, and it's like, unfortunate, No,
that's and so with like Buggy's powers Buggy's powers is basically that he can disassemble himself. Really, he chops up his body almost, or it just sort of falls apart. He can throw his arm.
He's technically immortal.
Yeah,
it's like his thing. Yeah, he can't be destroyed.
But I love this is like the first glimpse outside of the first, like I guess the episode when you're talking about the flashback with Luffy. This is the first flashback where you've got a character where they do like how he became who he is, in the sense of like Buggy goes back, as best of my understanding in this, watching a second time around, they have this flashback through the episodes where they go back to when Buggy was basically like an apprentice or the lowest of low on a crew with Shanks, which is awesome because there's that connection. So you're weaving in like that, because obviously Shanks is a big player. And then you've got, you got Buggy. So obviously then it plays in the role of going, Buggy must be a decent, like important character where he's going to hang around, which was my thoughts. But it goes on like they're much younger. They're on a ship. They've basically done this big heist, or they've, robbed, I don't know, was it they robbed the Marines, I think it was. And then they
wanted a map for the Grand Line.
That's right.
That's the big goal, because everyone wants to get onto the Grand Line. And if you've got a map of the Grand Line, which is wild, because I don't think they ever mention maps ever again when it comes to the Grand Line. And I think you're in the Grand Line now, so there's a device that helps you.
Yes,
so
when you're
then
in the Grand Line,
have a map. So that's why a map is wild, because there shouldn't be a map.
Yeah, okay.
So that must mean it's like maybe Roger's X map or somebody else. Like that's why it's way more important than the story puts emphasis into, because you don't know it.
Well, no, I didn't think it was that important, to be honest. I thought it was just. I thought
huge.
it wasn't it just a map to get to the Grand Line, not of the Grand Line?
Because everyone knows how to get to the Grand Line.
See, I assumed it was a map to the Grand Line, but it's of the Grand Line. No, it's the map
of the Grand Line.
Okay, all right, okay.
I don't think it would be the whole Grand Line, because that would ruin all the plot of all of everything. But I think it's like a big chunk of the Grand Line. Here's all the islands. Here's how you can get through them and stuff like that.
Gotcha. All right. So they basically rob the Marines. They take everything as part of that heist. They get a map of the Grand Line, but they also get a devil fruit. And so then Buggy has this idea where he's like,
oh no, sorry. The old map was a map to treasure at the bottom of the ocean.
Oh, yeah,
that's what it was.
Okay.
And that's why he gets angry with Shanks, because he eats the fruit, and now he can never get that treasure ever again.
And there's a bit of comedy behind that. So obviously he's got the devil fruit, which he's going to sell to then get him what he needs to go and get the treasure. But then Shanks finds him like late at night behind one of the boats, and he's like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "Oh shit!" And then he eats the devil fruit accidentally. And then
he goes to hide it.
Oh, does he?
In his mouth. Yeah.
He goes to hide it in his mouth.
Shanks. Well, he doesn't want something. Shanks.
Oh, yeah. Okay, gotcha.
You know how expensive they are. He doesn't want anyone to know. So
yes. And then he swallows it, and then he's like, "You idiot!" And now he can't go under the water to get the treasure. And now he's got, and straight away he gets obviously the powers there. And that's why he hates Shanks, and that's why he's like, when he talks about like, where did you get that hat from?
Yeah. And it's the first inkling, but it's not the real reason. Don't get too... Yeah, it's not as shallow as that.
Oh, I thought it was that. Well, shit, what do you mean shallow? Like, he's lost the ability to to swim.
Oh, to
and
get
it was
treasure.
and he was going to get his. Yeah, I don't know.
No, the other one is way more heartfelt.
Oh, okay. All right. So there's more.
Yeah.
So again, like it paints the picture where these two are going to be hanging around as characters in One Piece. Which again, that's what you're looking for when you're looking at it. Like, I've got to watch 1,000 episodes. This better hit the emotional feels and invest in.
It did.
This.
Literally, I think it was 3 weeks ago we got the full story of Shanks.
Oh, great. So I just need to
Buggy
get through a year's worth of Buddy.
Well, no, like, bro, it was fucking worth it because I didn't even expect a different angle of it all.
I think we talked about
that's the thing.
Yeah,
that's the thing. It's not you were waiting for that. Like,
no. But when it hit hard.
We didn't know we were going to get a different angle. For the longest time, we're like, Buggy's so petty. He hates him because like he made him eat a devil fruit that he tried to hide in his mouth. Like,
but I like it. This is this is where it was. This was far from the hook that got me. Again, I've watched this before, but I did like it watching this. I'm like, yeah, this is why I'm here. I'm here for the storytelling. I know it's going to build up to something. Hasn't hit me in the feels yet, but I know they're building up to something big. So that was cool. I really like that part of it. More character development, which I think is really what this does well. It just does it over time.
I don't think there's anything else that I kind of wrote down. Oh, we set up one of the 3 Zoro tropes we'll get through the whole of One Piece, where it's, for some reason, Zoro gets handicapped right at the start of an arc. So he never usually can use his full power.
Yeah, and that seems to be a thing, isn't it? Like he always goes.
Yeah, that's what I mean. There's 3 big tropes that Zoro always has, and
he's always injured.
It's gets injured at the start of an arc.
Okay. So
which
it's not
is
just
good
me.
because like no. People
he goes into battle half-assed, like, and by that I mean like he's always injured. Something happens, and then he'll get wrecked, and then he's got to stand up and just get into battle.
But Dane, okay. As a person that loves a good fight anime,
I do love
as yourself.
Yes,
that's when it sets it up. When Zoro goes into a fight, not injured, full capacity, and you're like, what's going to go on?
We haven't seen this.
We haven't seen this.
Someone's given him a sensu bean. We've never seen this before. Let's go.
Yeah, and it's wild when fucking Zoro gets let off the leash and...
Poor old Zoro. It took him 1,000 episodes to like get me through without being injured.
Nah. It happens a few times in the Grand Line, but it was more just like it's because Zoro is as powerful as he is right now in the start of of the East Blue.
Yeah, I still
because you see him, you see the fights that he absolutely wrecks face and he's like bleeding and cut into pieces and stuff like that. So imagine if he went to those fights not injured.
Yeah,
how like overpowered he would be. So this is his limiter on Zoro, so then when they do get him up against an enemy that's very strong, he can go full out, and it doesn't feel like it's like one of those, like, I'm not just Super Saiyan level 1, I'm actually Super Saiyan level 3, and you're like...
fooled you, bitches.
You didn't earn that at all. Like, you just leveled up. It's just like, but this is like, oh no, it's because every time you've seen him fight, he's always been injured. So when he's all of a sudden real strong, like when you get to Whiskey Peak and he beats all those people.
Did you feel happy with that? That as a big, true, hardcore fan, were you happy with the
Peak?
No, like the how he just levels up ridiculously from like not progressively. It just seems like he just goes bang, straight up.
No. Because, as I said, it's earned, because not in a sense, but it's like, it's not just he's all-powerful strong all of a sudden. It's like, oh, finally he gets to go into a fight not injured. Oh, okay. Ooh, let's see what Zoro can actually do when he's not injured. I'm so excited.
So they do it well.
And that's what I mean.
Okay.
Yeah, like, me saying Whiskey Peak doesn't ruin anything.
I don't know what you're talking about, so it doesn't mean nothing to me.
Oh, yeah, you haven't got to Whiskey Peak yet. Don't worry about it.
But I will say, when we talk about the next arc, I can't wait to talk about the next arc because I think this is when it progresses with Zoro. Yes. And this is where I can see it.
But just like an unfortunate viewer, we've got to get through this.
We have to. We have to.
Yeah.
And that's fine. You're all on the journey, everyone with us. Yeah. But we are very close to hitting those milestones where you start hitting the feels and you start getting invested in these characters. Even from the very early stage. And by early, you still got to ride these rides.
You do get a little character development on Nami. You see her, like, even though fighting against her own kind of, like, what you know later on, why she is like that with Pirate.
Yeah.
She still, when she is told to kill Luffy, she can't do it because... It's like, no, I don't want to be you guys. And then at that last stage, she literally clasps her hands around the fuse to like diffuse the light on it and like burns her hands trying to stop the fuse from going off. And
yeah, okay.
I like Nami because she a lot of people, her and Usopp, which we'll see later down the line, are always given off that like coward vibe and all that, and like a lot of people call them the cowards, but they're the normal humans in a world
that's
surrounded with people that are like super powered. So it's actually more courageous when you see them do stuff.
Step up, I agree, and I'm really
and in that moment you see like in the middle of the fight with like everybody around and like the threat of death from Buggy, she grabs the fuse and turns it off, and it's like, oh damn! Not only did you do this knowing you're probably going to die, like you just burnt your hands trying to stop Luffy from dying. Like a person you don't know yet, a person that you hate because he's a pirate, but yet you still went out of your way to like save his life, and you're like, okay, like this is why she fits in with the crew.
Yeah, but they only see snippets. They're only showing those snippets there until they really unpack it. And they unpack it.
That's what I mean. It's one of these subconscious things that if you're not looking for them, you don't realize they happen, and that's why when the big things happen, you've already been nearly set up, and you didn't even know you're already.
That's it. They're dropping these little bits and pieces, and you're like, oh yeah, okay, I'm following you. Then they just drop it, and they unleash someone's like with the backstory. They just destroy you with what is going on. It all sort of folds together. And again, like I still think over these two first arcs, everything seems pretty fine. Like I'm very like, it's pretty basic. I see what you're playing out. The world's quite large. There's powers. There's a bit of more depth coming from Luffy's end. There's character introductions, a little bit of like what their aspirations, things like that. But there's nothing too heavy. No, and there's which
is also its double-edged sword of like.
Well, that's right, and that's
enough to put hooks in you,
and that's why there's so many people, i.e., me as well, that jumped off. I could easily see people jumping off in these two arcs. I can see people, bit of a spoiler, jumping off in the next arc. If it's Usopp,
Usopp's is very debatable.
There's moments in there which we'll talk about, which had me hanging
on. Cool ass moments.
Yeah, there's some moments in there had me hanging on, but I get it. If some people drop off there, I'm like, fuck, how many episodes would you have watched back then? You're in like, I don't know, 30? Easy. Wouldn't you be?
Usopp? No, Usopp's arc is episodes 9 to 18.
Okay. All right. So you still, like, I mean, you still can hang in there.
It's still 20 episodes.
Yeah, still 20 episodes. I mean, like, if you look at, like, Demon Slayer...
That's a whole season of modern anime at the moment.
True.
Like, that's a first full season of My Hero Academia.
And I don't think there's no fillers in there as well.
No. And there's nothing of the... That's the thing. Like, yes, you get all those little, like, things in Orange Island of, like, shoo-shoo and all that, but, like, you get better versions of those in modern anime.
100%.
That's what I mean. They're not enough to go against a lot of anime people can watch at the moment. Yeah. And that's its biggest downside at the moment, where it's the Lord of the Rings. Like, One Piece I will always relate to Lord of the Rings and, like, the Odyssey. As in, like, it's in there for the long run. And if you read the Lord of the Rings book... Your guide describes a tree for a good 2 chapters.
Yeah, like, I remember reading those books when I was a lot younger. Like I love The Hobbit, and then I went into Lord of the Rings, and a lot of the description lost me.
That's what I mean. But is Lord of the Rings one of like the pivotal greatest storytelling in kind of modern?
I do love Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, but. That's what I mean. You've got to slug through those kind of things. It's just unfortunate that there is a lot of media out there that does the same thing, but then doesn't make up for taking so long.
Well, I'm hoping that after, when we get past these 2 arcs, which we're pretty much at the end of, and we move on to these next ones, there's going to be a shit ton to
Variety's when it gets good, and then Arlong's when it...
Arlong! Oh, cannot wait.
But that is
so
50
excited.
episodes in. That's the problem. Yeah, because Arlong finishes at episode 44.
Yeah, see, Arlong had me. Arlong... Actually, Arlong... Arlong had me without question, right? So that's when I knew I was invested.
But Barati got you as well.
Yeah,
didn't it?
Barati got me. Barati was like, this is fucking awesome. And this is where storytelling is done really well. And I can't wait to talk about that on this podcast. I can't wait to talk about that with you because I really haven't had that chat with you. But holy shit, that hit me. And as you are very much aware, I'm about animes that really hit the feels. And I'm happy to...
Bro,
I'm happy to invest in time.
I can't wait to see the things One Piece is going to make you cry over. And you're going to be like, why did I cry over an inanimate object? And I'm going to be like, because it's
keep talking about
One Piece,
this inanimate object. I sent you that message as soon as we did that Arlong Park. I sent it to you, and I sent you something saying like, I get it now, and I was so happy, so happy to join that club of people that pushed through, got there, and got the enjoyment and emotional satisfaction of just experiencing that. Moment. And you got to remember, this is a very old anime too. Is it like, what did we say, 97?
97, I'm pretty sure it comes out.
So, I mean, technically, is it that old? Yeah, it's pretty old. Not Dragon Ball, but...
do you realise when 97 was, buddy?
Fucking I am.
It's 26 fucking years ago.
Oh, I'm so old. I was 10. Yeah, there you go. 96. All right, so where do we go from here? Are we finished up on Orange Town arc?
Is there anything else you want to talk about Orange Island?
I don't think so. I think
it's a cool middle ground. It's nearly like world filling.
Yeah.
Is Orange Town.
Yeah, and I think you get a better understanding of how big this universe is.
Which is still, yet again, it's double-edged sword. It's not hooking yet. It's
if they didn't do
Romance Dawn was setting up, and Orange Town is world building, but you needed something at this stage to hook somebody.
Yeah, and I think like even though the flashback with Buggy and Shanks was very cool, and I liked it.
Still not enough.
It's still not enough. So again, do
you know what's missing? That I'm so sad they didn't show in the Romance Dawn, like with the Shanks thing. It finishes up, and Luffy's leaving. You get to see Luffy leave the town.
Yeah.
In the anime, you don't see this till like episode 600 or something like that, where they show a flashback of Luffy leaving the town. It's insane.
Yeah.
But in the manga, you see him leaving, and the Sea Emperor pops up again.
Oh.
And then Luffy uses his gum pistol to punch it in the face. Yeah, and it's like this big, huge moment of like Luffy growing up and leaving the island and being ready to be a pirate to go out in the world. And you're like, oh, that was the thing that ate Shanks' arm and all that. And it's a missed moment that's like, it's not a hook, but it's a big enough thing that you're like, all right, I'm invested in Luffy's storytelling and character development, where you don't see a lot of Luffy's character development until later.
Can I ask you...
learn more about Luffy?
Yeah, okay.
In the anime, but you don't get a lot of character building like you do in the manga with Luffy.
Can I ask you two questions? One.
Yes. Yeah.
Did you watch did you read the manga have you read the manga all the way up?
Yeah. I've done it multiple times.
Oh, shit. Are you happy as someone that read the manga first, then watched the anime? Or would you... Yes. Okay, all right, okay. Are you, as a big old super fan, are you happy that the anime, this current anime, and I'm not talking for kids that can go on the bin.
Yeah, Funimation's version.
Yep, intro's a banger.
Yeah.
Are you happy, and do you feel that they've done it justice with the way that they've done it? Like, is it as close as you can?
Yes and no.
Okay. All right.
Yes, in the sense of, in my reality, I don't think that they could put the... Like, you saw the panel that I sent you of just the Shanks thing. Like, see how much detail is in that one individual panel.
Yeah.
That is every panel. Like, Oda, his background art on so many panels is absolutely insane, and you never, ever get that in the anime, ever. Because they can't. You can't spend that money to put that effort into background.
Yeah.
Like, I've sent you some clips of, like, the anime at the moment of how cool it looks.
Yes.
But even in that, go back and, like, if you have time, go back and watch that and still...
No, I don't have time. No, I don't. I've got to get through 1,000 and something episodes.
Oh, no. I just mean, like, the 2-second clip. You can have a quick look.
Yes.
The background's still not as nice. It is good for anime sense, but it is nowhere near, like, the detail that Oda puts into just the art, because like as we've discussed in that first, this is his life. Like this is all he does. Doesn't do anything else. He doesn't do any other anime. Doesn't do any other manga. This is his sole focus. His love. It is his child, and he puts at the love of raising a child into his art and his storytelling of the manga. So, no, I'm not happy because they haven't, but also in my realistic mind, they never could. Like,
that's the reality.
The amount,
you've got to take it like that. It's not going to be 100%, and obviously manga is going to be the absolute source of truth and the fullest of experiences. But I'm always mindful. I'm always interested when you read. Like I've gone through the Naruto. I've read I watched the anime first, and then I read the manga, and I really enjoyed it from both perspectives.
Yeah.
I'm now reading.
That's the thing. You can do both in one piece, and you will pull things from both.
And I think there's I was just interested. Obviously, now watching Demon Slayer. There's something about the anime that just I don't know whether it's the music, it's the soundtrack, it's just the illustrations. It's next level. And even though I love the manga, right, I love the anime and just what it does to me as well.
I like waiting for the fights in One Piece anime, like seeing, because they do them differently and they kind of stretch them out a bit more and stuff like that. But they're like how they frame and do like the storytelling in the manga is so much better.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Fuck. All right. Shit, so much to talk about, and I'm glad that we've got this platform to do it, and hopefully...
But that's where we should definitely wrap it up, because on our next episode, we are talking about the greatest pirate captain in all the 5 seas. That's who we're introducing in the next episode, so we'll be talking about what is the actual arc called? The Syrup Village arc. So anyone listening along, that's going to be episode 9 to 18. All right, that's what we're going to be talking about in our next episode. That is the Syrup Village arc, and we get introduced to our next main character in the One Piece saga. But I do want to wrap up saying these two. I wanted to do these 2 arcs at the same time because this is this is the original 3 of the pirate crew. It's your Luffy, your Nami, and your Zoro. That's your core 3.
Yep.
Your starter 3. That's what starts the thing. The next set of people are going to be your East Blue crew, which is all the crew they gather up to the end of East Blue. Then you're going to have your first half of the pre-time skip Grand Line crew. That will be your next crew. And then there is a current crew that they've got more as well. So there you think. Because like you've seen it in man, it's so good in the manga. Just as they're crossing into the Grand Line, everyone putting their feet onto the barrel and being like, this is our dream. This is what we are going to the Grand Line for. And that's the East Blue crew.
Yeah.
Because they're a tight-knit group. And then the tighter-knit group, even than that, is the original 3, the Zoro, Luffy, and Nami. And you see those bubbles kind of intertwine and, oh, man, love it. Oh.
All right. I can't wait. Let's wrap this up, and then we'll jump onto that one very, very soon.
All right. Yeah, I think we should wrap up. I was going to go into likes and dislikes, but we already talked to pretty much our likes and dislikes for this. I dislike that it's hard for people to get into this, and that is my last kind of... And I know that even as a super fan, like, I never get really too peeved off when people I bounced off, and I'm like, I understand, man, and I'm trying. I
honestly think it's just the price for admission. That's ultimately what I'm putting this down to. It's just the fact
But it's one of those rides that, like, you have to, especially as a new person, that's why you have to be the trumpet of the next generation of, like, hey, I was like you, because that was me. Like,
I'm only one person, Nato. I don't know if I can coach many of our friends out there to do this.
But you will be soon. You will be soon.
Give me more of what's to come, which I'm going to
You finished the saga you are on now, the Alabasta saga.
Yeah.
And bro, you are the preacher in the street with the bell.
Or I'm jumping off because it didn't give me enough. Who knows? Yeah. Time will tell.
Yes. Right.
I think I'll stay on, but who knows?
Bro, if you see hands in the air with X's on them and you don't fucking cry in the future after you finish that,
just calm down, mate. Too much spoilers here. Hang on. I'm only up to 7.
It's not a spoiler at all.
All right. Okay.
No.
All right.
No, it's just a moment, but that's the thing. Like, you're like, oh, cool.
Again, I don't know what that means. So again, the
you
benefit
don't know
of
what
this
it means.
is, if I didn't know what the barrel foot thing was, if I didn't see it, I wouldn't have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's
but
what
again,
I mean.
it's the journey to get there.
It doesn't have context. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. All right, anyway, we got to go and set sail to find our One Piece. That has been the Boy in the Barrel podcast. I have been your host and current Pirate King himself, Nato. You can find me everywhere on the internet at IKnowNato. Try just doing it on Twitter. It's the easiest way to go back and forth, guys. But you can find me anywhere at that. And this has been my future, hopefully, Pirate King himself, Dane Pevy. Where can the beautiful people find you and the wonderful things you do?
Everyone can find me if they want to at Dane Peavy. I am on Twitter and I bang around in Instagram, primarily on stories. But reach out if you've got any questions, give us some feedback. And if you are watching it for the first time, let me know.
Come talk to me about One Piece.
No, talk to me. Don't talk to me. If you want all the lore, reach out to Nato and his DMs so no one else sort of caps wind of that. But I'm keen to hear anyone's feedback if they have started the journey again, if they're following on with us, or if they maybe jumped on previously.
I want to talk about Void Year theories. I want to talk about Devil Fruit theories. I want to talk about Shank theories. I want to talk about the Celestial Dragon theories. Come on.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. I just want to talk I want to feel and experience the emotional pull. So.
Have you been told about the Void Century yet?
I don't know what you're talking about, Nato. No.
Okay, cool.
Nothing.
Sweet. Wow, when did they introduce that?
I don't know.
Okay.
Certainly not where I'm at. But I'm keen to keep this journey going, mate. So
all right.
Until next time.
All right. Thank you. And remember, my fortune... Oh, sorry. Yes. Remember my fortune is there for the taking, but you have to find it first. I left everything I own in one piece. Goodbye.
Bye, ladies and gentlemen.
Pere.
Go watch One Piece. Go watch One Piece right now. Oh, but I can't watch 1,000 anime episodes. That's too long. I don't care. Go watch One Piece. Go watch One Piece right now.